Hey,
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 people.
welcome, everyone, to another time of gym time. Get your motivation time with myself, Debbie.
And myself, Maurice. It's
Yeah, it's good to be
good to
on.
be here again. You know?
Absolutely, it really is. And we have another hot topic.
Oh gosh, this is burning hot. Fire, fire.
Higher,
Yeah, this is fire. Yeah, because you know what? It affects a lot of marriages, a lot of relationships at 100%. And, it's just it's funny because this is something I wanted to talk about for a long time as well. Because I talk about it with friends and stuff like that, and and experiencing it through in my relationships, some of them, more my marriages. So it's one of those burning hot topics.
Yeah, it is absolutely, and I think that I think that again, it's in certain circles, it's quite taboo. People don't want to speak about it, and here on Gym Time, we are willing to share with you guys our thoughts, our opinions, our advice, and our lived experiences. So, yeah, we are going
Mhm.
to crack on, and I hope that you guys are doing well out there. Those of you who are on Instagram, welcome. Hope
You
that
that are
all
on
is well with
YouTube,
you guys over there. And if you want to, feel free to come over onto YouTube. You just need to type in Maurice and Debbie at gym time, and you will be here in the chat. I've got my chat up to date on Instagram, which is good. Let's see
oh,
if
hey,
it
that's
will
good.
work. We've
So
had a
you
little bit
can,
of
so they
technical
can.
problems as we logged on, but I hope to rectify that. It's like constant work in progress. And so, yeah, I'm hoping
Mm,
that in the next few weeks or so, we will have it down packed. We don't have
it's
somebody behind the scenes doing all this. This is
Yeah,
just us.
exactly. It's funny because when we first started this platform, what we're on, which is Restream, it wasn't given all these technical issues, and they
No, it
updated
wasn't.
everything, and then since the update, and obviously a new year that we've come back, it's doing its own thing, but
I
such is
know.
life. Such is life. So I'm going to give my disclaimer,
Yeah, go ahead.
and my disclaimer is don't cut me neck. Not really.
Mm.
We're here to motivate and empower you, get you to expand your mind, look at things from a different perspective, in the hope that it challenges you and helps you to overcome obstacles that you have in your relationships. Um, uh, Hopefully, you'll try these things. You know what we talk about, or if where we will give a directive. And if it doesn't work, don't cut your neck. At least you've tried. And I remember who's mommy said, is it mommy? Um, um, you can't beat a trier, something
A
like that.
trier.
You know.
A
Um,
trier.
yeah. So that's my disclaimer for this week. It'll
For
probably be
this
the same next week.
Yeah, so I think the disclaimer is really for those of you who haven't joined us before, and we'd just like to say welcome,
Absolutely.
whatever platform you're joining us from, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or on YouTube, and for those who are listening back to it. So really our disclaimer is, we're not here trying to pretend that we are super duper professionals, with a degree, but we are experienced with life, just like some of you guys. And I think that just generally, we just really want to share what we have. And,
Mhm.
we do our research behind the scenes. And sometimes it's just good that people can come on board and get advice, get support, because we offer support as well. It's just a good, wholesome place where we can have these conversations and hope that you can take away something that is going to really impact your relationship for it to become bigger and better. So, um, yeah, I
Absolutely.
don't know everything, but what I do know, I will absolutely share with you and hope that it enriches your life, both of us. So, yeah, Paul, go ahead and kick off tonight's subject.
So it's sexless marriage. What should I do? What do you do? So what I wanted to say first of all is that we are believers of God, and we welcome on a from a Christian standpoint. But you'll hear lots of scriptures and you'll hear things like that, so that you can go away and you can look and see if we're actually quoting things right. You know, I think that if we don't have a spiritual foundation, just my personal opinion, then what do you really have? You know, if you can just do whatever you want to do. I watched a video on TikTok today, and some boys in Bow was fighting, and one guy lunged at him and stabbed the guy. And all of a sudden, out the blue, another guy came out with a sword. Yeah, a sword. Yeah, and chopped the guy, and the guy run off. It was crazy, but that's what happens when there's no spiritual foundation. You know, um, this society, you can say we can do what we want. That's how it is. But is it? But anyway, that's a whole different subject, and maybe we'll cover that sometime. Lawless society. So the scripture that I'm going to read is from 1 Corinthians chapter 7. I'm going to read the King James version. I don't know if you want to bring up the New International Version, Debbie, so that then it gives a little bit more clarity. Well, this gives me clarity, but it opens up the debate with the wording. I don't know what I'm saying there, but there's different wordings. So 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 4. Remember, we're talking about a sexless marriage. The wife has not power of her own body, but the husband. And likewise also the husband has not power of his own body, but the wife. Okay. So wives, you don't have the power over your body, and husband, you don't have the power over your body. Both of you, it's like that. Your body belongs to your husband. Your husband's body belongs to the wife. So it said, defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that you may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your inconsistency. Have you got the NIV?
Yeah, so you started it from 4, but I would like to
Yeah.
start it from 3. Um,
Okay.
so this is the NLT version, and it says the husband should fulfill his wife's sexual needs, and the wife should fulfill her husband's needs. The wife gives authority over her body to her husband, and the husband gives authority over his body to his wife. Do not deprive each other of sexual relations unless you both agree to refrain from sexual intimacy for a limited time, so you can give yourselves more completely to prayer. Afterwards, you should come together again so that Satan won't be able to tempt you because of the lack of self-control. So I think it's
So it's
really,
literally telling you
very
that.
clear.
Yeah. Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, I think it's very clear. And the reason why, and I've shared this before in another podcast, the reason why we go to the Bible, one is because we are believers, but also we believe that we are created by God. And it's just like you go in, you have in a car, you having a manual, and you referring back to the
Absolutely.
manual of the manufacturer. So the manufacturer will give you all the instructions, all the directions that you need in that manual. If you're not using the manual, you are being ignorant. You can cause the car to malfunction. And so it's
That's good.
necessary and important to go back to the creator. And this is Paul speaking here anyway, not my brother Paul. But apostle, the apostle Paul, and he is being inspired by God to write this. And it's really saying that, I mean, there has been times past where the word of God, and we know it does get manipulated. People use it for their own benefits in order to, manipulate other people, and we know this. Yeah, but that doesn't stop us from reading from the word of God and believing what the word of God says, no more than if you had a corrupt manager in a workplace, it doesn't stop you from getting another job and having another manager. Do you get what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
the reality is that, you know, I remember years ago, women were feeling as though they're having to submit to their husbands in every situation, and sex was one of them. But the Bible actually says the husband as well should fulfill his wife's sexual needs, and the wife should fulfill her husband's sexual needs. Both of you are not to deprive each other from sex. It's not one-sided. It's both
Yeah,
partners
but
are meant to
absolutely.
give of themselves, because your body is your husband's and your husband's body is yours. And in this scripture here, I'm just going to read this and then I'll hand back to you, Paul. In Matthew 19 and verse 6, it says, "So they are no longer two, but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let no man separate." So you can see here that the two have become one. And if you become one, you should be single-minded and in agreement with, my body is my husband's and my husband's body is mine, you know. And there's other scriptures which I'll read in a little while, but I think that we're just laying the foundation so that all of us is in agreement
Absolutely.
with the fact that we are created. Our creator has derived, well, not derived, he has created sexual intimacy. This is from our creator. He's done that intentionally so that we can enjoy it, not to use it to manipulate each other. And it's both, it goes for men and for women, so there's no discrepancy here. Men, give of yourself to your wife. Women, give of yourself to her husband, unless you are both in agreement
Yeah,
for a
in
set
agreement.
period of time. And normally that's in prayer and fasting, because when you fast, you're putting your flesh under subjection. So you're killing the flesh so that your spiritual man can be more heightened. And the best way to do that is to abstain from all sexual pleasures, because you're feeding your flesh just as much as if you're eating, you are feeding your flesh, and your flesh
Where
has
you're
dominion.
fasting, you're abstaining from having food. So
Absolutely.
it's a whole
It's a whole thing. Yeah.
spiritual experience,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
So I wasn't gonna, like I always say, I'm not gonna look at this, but I can't help myself but to have a look into what other people are
Hmm.
saying. And so physical intimacy, yeah, because that's what we're talking about.
Hmm.
In it, it's is one factor that makes a romantic relationship more than a platonic friendship.
Hmm.
Yet some couples slip into a pattern of letting the physical part of their marriage fall by the wayside, such as during the first few years of marriage, which is a common, um, particularly if kids come into the picture. Others had little or no sex from the start. And I think that, um, and I'm going to go through a list of different things as well. I won't
Okay.
actually just read all of them, but as in the descriptive description of it all, but some I will. I think that from the beginning, it's all about communication. You know, I was talking earlier on. It's about communication, and the reason why I say that, because you, I'm going to read this. Some of the common reasons are health issues. Yeah, you might not tell one another about your health issues. Um, uh, this one says a person's physical or mental health can have a major impact on their libido, which is true. You know, um, some people, um, they let all the negatives of being married or being in a relationship cause them to say, you know what, you ain't touching my body. And men do it too, and say,
Yeah.
no, you're not touching me either, or I'm not going to give her any sex, out of spite. And
Hmm.
while I was thinking about this, is not just that, but thinking about the subject in itself, is that I think it's really sad That's how I really stopped and thought about it. It's really sad that you both have invested in this relationship, the marriage. Yeah, so on one side we're going to talk about as husband and wives, and I'm going to still talk about those that aren't married. Yeah, so we've invested into a marriage, into a relationship, and then we say this has gone wrong. So whether he or she says, "You're not touching my body," or he goes out and you're saying it to him, and he goes out and he sleeps with somebody, and let's say he gets caught, you cuss him off because he's gone out there and done something, or vice versa. But you're both supposed to be invested in this. So you're both supposed to know that, hang on, for the last 6 months, 2 months, 3 months, 2 weeks, 3 days, or whatever it is, you've been at loggerheads. And so you haven't been intimate. You haven't been sexual. Yeah. And I think that if that's what you're doing, we've done a podcast on this as well, withholding sex, basically. How sad it is that you're invested in a marriage, invested in a relationship, 2, 3, 4 years, marriages, 5 years, 6 years, 2 years, whatever else it is, and you're not coming together. When you don't come together, there is a separation in the spirit. So he's acting single-minded, she's acting single-minded, and that can draw you away, as we read in the scripture, lest you be tempted. Yeah, we all go through some sort of temptation. Yeah? So I know that when I was in that, the temptation was, oh man, and it's wrong, but you justify your thoughts by looking at the lack of sexual connection. I don't believe in make-up sex. I don't believe that you're making up. You make up before you come together, by communicating, so that you don't have to revisit the same thing again next time. And then it's like a ritual, you're arguing everything else, and then yeah, you're right, baby, yeah, cool, yeah, it's silly what we said there, isn't it? Yeah, and you've brushed it off, only that it hasn't been dealt with. So if it happens again, you're going to fall into the same pattern of doing it until you don't. Yeah, and I believe that you won't. At some point, you won't. For a woman, she'll eventually get to a place before the man does, because for men, some men, we're gonna have sex anyway, whether you hate me, whether you love me. Yeah, you're gonna give it to me, I'm gonna take it. And I will talk about the spiritual side of this as well, about that. Even though she's from a man, I'm saying it from a man's point of view, a woman's body is not of hers, but of the man. You can't just take it like that, and you cannot use it as words. You both have to have that understanding together. Yeah, no, well, look, it's not your body, it's mine. True, but you can't just go and take it. Yeah, you can't forcibly take it. She has to have that understanding as well. But going back to the list, because I can go off on a tangent with that. Mismatched libido. It's so true. One of you might be up here, and the other one is the mouse, and I think personally, like, I'm going to say from a virgin standpoint, you learn together. So if your libido is up there and hers or his is down there, you come together and grow. It doesn't matter about whether he's only 2 minutes, 30 seconds. There's so much more. There's another show on that. So much more to do on intimacy. Even if you have a low libido or mismatched libido, there is so much more, and you can learn together when you come together. And I tell you something which is very true. When you come together, when you're communicating, talking wise, and you're getting over these hurdles, when you become sexually connected, it is charged now, because you're not holding yourself back. You're not holding any hostility. You're not bitter. You're not. I want to give you my body, and I want to take your body. Vice, both ways. And when that connection happens, it's supposed to be fantastic. It's supposed to be fantastic. Learn with each other. All what I know from before. That's that partner. That partner might swing their leg around and wrap you around and do all these kind of crazy stuff. Not that I know anything about that.
Jump off the wardrobe.
Yeah. But it's this person, him or her, that you're growing with, that you're building together with, that you're not upset that he was 30 seconds. You're not upset that she was 30 seconds, because some women are. Some women will orgasm like that, and some women you can look forever for this orgasm. But there are things you can do. If you're not coming together intimately, sexually, why are you together? For the children? That peters out after a while. The children get older and you're just there. It's supposed to be a connection, as we've seen with the word of God in Corinthians. You're supposed to come together, lest Satan tempts you. Yeah. Lest that chisel man looking with what's the word? That silver fox turns up. Yeah. And that beauty of woman, whatever that is, Nefertiti or whatever you fancy, turns up. Yeah. And you're drawn away by by temptation, because you're looking at what you haven't got at home. You're looking at the lack of sexual. Debbie and I was talking earlier on, and even if you have mismatched libido or the childbirth, because some women, when they have have babies, I understand that some of the sexual desire can disappear, or going through she's menopausal, premenopausal, or you're both stressed that you just the thought of doing it, and you got all these things on your head, and you just don't. Communication issues, what I was talking about, that you're not talking. Resolve. Yeah. By resolving, it opens up all the doors to all the goodness of what you had in when you was dating. Yeah. When you're laughing and speaking on the phone for hours, and and this and that. And for those that you come together and finally you're having sex with this person, or those that waited and got married and had sex, and it's like, whoa, the honeymoon period. Well, the honeymoon period don't have to die. Yeah. The reason why honeymoon periods die is because you kill it. You, him, her, you kill it. You kill it by not talking. You kill it by not dating your husband or your wife still. You kill it. Yeah. You kill it by harboring all this hostility. You kill it. Yeah. And so how can you have this wonderful thing that we call sex when you're like that? You can't. And so you'll be unhappy. Yeah? There's no two ways about it. You'll be unhappy because you're looking, think, why am I here? What is this all about? But communication issues. I'm gonna just finish that. Erectile dysfunction. Yeah, he might not be able to get up. Yeah, there's some juice though. You can mix up some juice. There's juices out there that can help you. Yeah, and it will strengthen you. Yeah, no, not really, but there is. There really is. And there's there's certain natural
Lotions and potions.
yes. Well, I don't want no potion. If I get to that, I don't want no potion.
No, I'm talking like,
You know,
when I say lotions and
no, I
potions, I'm
know,
saying
I
things
know.
like
I'm
Irish
playing.
moss and, you know,
Yes.
there's various different
Hmm.
things,
No, I'm
natural.
playing. I'm playing. You know, but they were saying that the contributing factors as well of um, the lack of sexual is conflicts and arguments.
Mm.
What I was saying. See, I'll be honest. I
Yes.
haven't read all of this. You know, yeah.
Mhm.
I'm catching up as I'm scrolling as well. But I'm telling you because I have an understanding of this, and I know people have been going through this, and I've been through that. So, you know, experiences here, conflicts and arguments, negative feelings. Um, I can't. This word I'm not going to be able to get. Punitive or passive aggressive
Aggressiveness.
behaviors. Ooh.
Mhm.
Infidelity, power struggles, pornography addiction. We done one on porn, but they're saying that those can contribute towards a lack of sex because
Mm.
you'd rather be watching pornography because you get enough better on the pornography. I put in there the also vibrators, you know, that the vibrator pleases you more than what your partner is. But you're,
Mhm.
as I said in the show that we did, there's no competition.
Yeah,
Yeah?
it's not. Yeah.
He might go out and buy a doll, and doll that at least a doll he can squeeze a doll and turn her around, do whatever else, as opposed to you being a dead piece of board on the bed. You know,
Mhm.
I just think that there's so many, and excuse me for talking so frank. Yeah, I don't apologize really. I'm just saying excuse me just to be polite, but I'm just telling the truth. You know, some people are just some women and some men are just dead planks. He said, "Come, sit on me," and he's just there. Yeah, and then he's finished, and that's it. You know, or turn around, and
No,
there's no
no intimacy, no.
real intimacy. You know, there's no looking in each other's eyes. The light is turned off. Turn on the light. Turn off. See,
City
what's
Pentecost.
his name? Yeah, he says turn off the light. Yeah, I say turn on the lights.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, he's saying like a candle, but you can't see. Yeah, but look at each other and dress up. Men go out and buy stuff and put on, and you know,
Yeah,
and none
it's
of
not,
this.
dress up
It's
isn't just for women. That's the thing.
yeah, no, it's not. And my goodness, stop taking off what she's put on. Stop taking it off. Oh, it is nice. How please, let's take it off. Keep it on. Let her keep it on.
Actually,
Tell her it don't make no sense. Yeah, tell her what you feel when you're looking at her with what she's made the effort to put on. Even if she's got her heels on still, don't take her off the shoes. Leave it all on. Move things to the side and whatever else it is that you need to do from that perspective, pull down, whatever, but leave it on and talk. I remember telling someone one time, Deb, I said, I think that people can be really boring for true. I think
mm.
Michael said
Yeah,
last
he
week,
said
innit?
that dating someone that's boring.
Why don't you say something? All of a sudden you turn shy or you turn mute. You don't know if you talk no more. Mm, 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 mm. Stop the noise and talk to her. Look her in her eyes. Look at him. You'll laugh. It's fun. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's quite funny. Oh, I'm a bit embarrassed, you know, to say that to him. It's your husband, for goodness sake. You've been with the person for the last 50 years and you can't
Mhm.
talk to. Yep.
Mhm.
You know, I'm going to the extreme and say 50 years, but you when you was dating, you had a lot to say. Those that had phone sex, you had a lot to say. So how come you don't say anything now that you're married, together, lifetime? You don't say anything. Talk.
Yeah, because
Yeah? Tell her
people
about how
become
she.
complacent. People become complacent, and I
Yeah.
think that the thing that brought you together, the drive, the excitement, the fun, all of those things should remain within your relationship. Those things should never ever die. And I know that work can get in the way, children can get in the way, and so forth, but they only get in the way if you really allow them to, you know.
Mm.
And I remember,
Um,
like,
oh,
I think what is really important that people don't do is have some kind of structure. Like, I remember having a conversation with someone once, and they was in that situation where their relationship had their sexual relationship had deteriorated. And I said that, why don't you schedule in times to be intimate? And they was just like, but it just won't be real, it will just be fake, it would just be like, who schedules in time? And I said, well, if you don't plan, you plan to fail. If you don't plan to do something, you plan to fail. You haven't tried that. You're just, your times are crossing. Oh, when he comes in, he's tired. You've been at home with the kids, and you've been able to have a nap, so when he comes in, and all
you're
of
not.
that, it's really kind of mixed match. And I'm like, why don't you have a date night? Why don't you plan that date night? I mean, why wouldn't you do that? If life is getting in the way, why wouldn't you then make inroads so that you can basically have that time together? Why would you just leave it to chance? Because what I don't understand is, if something isn't working, why would you continue with the same strategy? If it's not working, why would you continue doing the same thing? Because you're doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results. So one of the things that I do encourage people to do is have date nights, is be very strategic in what you're going to, in what you're thinking of doing, because until it just becomes a natural way of doing it again. Because
Mm.
I think that you might need that kickstart back into doing that. I think when there is a sexless marriage, I think that there are various different reasons, and you touched on a number of, reasons why it could be a sexless marriage. But why does it have to be a marriage that is lacking in intimacy? Because there are people who, for whatever reason, could be medical reasons, why they cannot, have penetrative sex. Yeah. But why does the intimacy have to go? Because the women that I speak to, they're talking about the lack of intimacy. So sometimes there is sex there. There is
Mm.
sex, but there's the lack of intimacy. There's the lack of foreplay. There's the lack of, like what you're saying, wearing a sexy underwear and not getting any responses based upon it. So sometimes it is, the sex is there, but the intimacy is lost. And for
It's lost.
women, they want to feel, I think men do as well. I think human beings, you
Oh,
want to feel
absolutely, men do.
desired, want to feel as though that person wants you, that they're not just going to fling you down and have sex with you, because then that desire to have sex is becomes more and more undesirable, because you know what it's going to consist of.
Mm.
Wham bang, thank you, ma'am, and that's it. Do you get what I mean? And again, for the women, it's a thing where men are tired of always being the ones that are approaching us. Men want the women to initiate sex too, whereas a lot of the times the men are initiating it, and then it's just like, I'm not going to do it because she ain't initiating it. I
Yeah.
remember reading an article some time ago, and it was about sexless marriage and the reasons why men don't want to have sex with their wives, partners. And one of them was because the woman's not initiating it. It's like, why do I have to initiate it all the time? The other one was um, impotency.
Mm.
Also, alcoholism. So drinking too much causes them to be impotent too. Pornography, because they watch pornography, the way that they deal with the woman is more like an object more than somebody that they desire. So there's various different reasons why a woman can be turned off from her partner, and those are some reasons. And I think that I think that the main thing is communication. So we said at the beginning, if you wasn't listening, we read the scriptures from 1 Corinthians 7 and verse. I started from verse 3. And we're talking about your body, a woman's body and a man's body. Both of you are meant to give of yourselves to each other. And I think that if that stops happening, there's something that's going on, and the only way to get to the bottom of it is through communication. If you're not communicating about what I think, especially like in Christendom, if you're a couple that has waited to be intimate, there is an expectation that everything is going to be fantastic. I know many people on their wedding night where it was just a mess, absolute mess. Do you know what I mean? And if they was to just going by that one night, they would be like, I married the wrong person. But it's about getting to know that person. It's about getting to ask the right questions, and having those conversations is going to solidify your relationship and the intimacy. And so I think that we spoke about on another podcast about using sex as weaponizing sex. Men and women both do that. If they're vexed with you, they're not going to give you nothing. And I think that looking at it from that perspective, when it's sexless, it's intentional. You're intentionally withholding sex. If there's medical problems, if there is stress,
of abuse,
if there's a real legitimate reason why somebody isn't wanting to have sex, I think that it's necessary to have that conversation. Your husband or your wife is not a mind reader. They do not know, and they will feel rejected. And if they feel rejected, then they're going to respond based upon that. Is it right for them to respond in a negative way? No, not really. But the conversation needs to be had. If you are withholding sex because there's something, there might have been traumas that haven't been dealt with. I've dealt with a client where there was sexual abuse as a young girl, and waited until marriage to have sexual relations, and realized that the trauma was still there, which led to her not wanting to be intimate, and her husband eventually cheating on her several times, which caused another knock-on effect. So whilst trying to deal with the husband being unfaithful, she was having to deal with the traumas and feeling guilty about her not feeling comfortable to be touched, feeling comfortable to be intimate. And she didn't know that this was going to impact her relationship. She had no idea until she was married and they was having sexual relations. So, there are genuine reasons why people are not having sex in the relationship. And again, these things can be spoken about. They can receive counseling and support and deal with those issues. Was he right to be unfaithful to her? No.
or
He
she.
didn't ask the question. He just assumed that she didn't want to be intimate. She didn't want to tell him because she was shamed and embarrassed about her past. She didn't want him to know about that. But now you're married, you should feel as though this is a safe space, but it's not always the case. So I think it's important to look at the reasons why there is a sexless marriage and work through those challenges, not just saying, oh, this person doesn't want to have sex with me. Why don't they want to have sex with you? What is going on with them? Don't just assume that they just don't find you attractive anymore, and your work colleague or someone on road is finding you attractive, so you gravitate to that. That's nonsense. That ain't even a mature way of dealing with things. If your partner doesn't want to if your partner doesn't want to be intimate with you, there must be a legitimate reason. There, and I remember back in the day, I know some of the young guys used to be quite feisty, and I remember there was guys that said that their partner had a hygiene problem. They didn't smell too healthy, so they didn't want to be intimate. And I know women, you're laughing, you're so silly. Better mind you choke on the drink. But equally, I've heard women where they've said,
Yeah,
the
I have.
hygiene isn't up to scratch. And I've said, have you relayed that? Well, no, they haven't. What they've done, they've set the bath, they've, trying to initiate, different kind of hygiene things, like, but not overtly saying, down there smells a bit. Do you know what I mean? Your bum crack smells. Like, I'm telling you. I'm telling you, these are real conversations that women have. Do you know what I mean? And the reality is that men, they will go and say, "Oh, she smelled fishy." Well, there's men that don't do oral sex for that very reason. They've been
For that
traumatized,
very reason.
and they're just
Yeah,
like, "I will not
yeah.
be oral sex with no one ever again," because they've been traumatized. Do you know what I'm saying? So you have to get to the bottom of why there is a lack of sex, a lack of intimacy, and these are real conversations. I've had conversations with men and women who have said hygiene is a problem. You need to fix that.
Wow,
You need to
wow,
fix that
wow.
problem, and then you will get the desired outcome. And so I think
See,
that it's
I
necessary.
was
It's
gonna
necessary to
say,
have the conversations. Don't
don't
be
you think?
afraid to have the conversations. That's what I'm saying, essentially.
Don't you feel, Debbie, that even if you're not, you have a legitimate reason as to not having it, having penetrative sex. Um, don't you think that the intimacy shouldn't disappear either?
No, but I think that the intimacy, I think the lack of sex and the lack of conversation causes resentment, and then it's like, you're not giving me nothing. I'm not even going to give you
Do
that little
nothing.
bit of
Yeah,
intimacy. I think that the lack of intimacy is birthed out of those challenges. Do you get what I
because
mean?
I think that the lack of intimacy can lead to no sex anyway. Yeah, no sex, and again, it depends on the different issues, because, like I said, there can be, you can still be loving and fruitful and do things, other things, without the penetrative side of things, if that's an issue there. So if
Yeah.
he's, if he's, if she's perimenopausal, she might be in pain. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she'll tell you, should be telling you that it hurts a little, and
Mm-hmm.
you need to listen to that. As a man,
Mm-hmm.
we need to listen to that.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to, as a woman, explain what it feels like to him. You know,
Yeah.
let's try it slower and see
Mm-hmm.
if that doesn't hurt. Don't go too deep. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and if you, as a man, that you find that by going slower you ejaculate too quick, she has to understand that at the same time. And at the same time, you have to practice and practice and practice until, because you might be used to. I remember that this the young man that I was
Yeah.
just out about getting in there, yeah. And when no one really told me to slow down,
Mm-hmm.
but when that did come along, it's, can you go slower? I thought, oh, okay. And it was crazy. It was like, no, this is too intimate. It's
Too,
too,
too
I could feel
sensitive.
everything now, and so, I don't mind exposing myself, because like I overcome that, excuse the pun. I, I ejaculated too quick because I was used to this rhythm, you
Mm-hmm.
know, whatever the rhythm was, it wasn't a slow whine, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So then I had to learn how to do that and not ejaculate so quickly, because like anything, it's practice.
Mm-hmm.
But she was
But do you
open
think?
enough.
But do you think that? Do you think that enough couples are having those conversations about the lack of sex and the lack of intimacy in the relationship?
No, I don't think that. And I'm gonna use a terminology that's used. Those in the world, non-Christians and Christians, are having exactly the same issues and
Yeah.
not talking about it. You know,
But I
sleeping in
think that
another bed.
sometimes, I think it's sometimes because don't want to offend, don't
Mm,
want to feel vulnerable, don't want to feel ashamed.
ashamed. Yeah,
You know, there's all these reasons why
excuses.
people don't want to have the conversation. But especially if this is your lifetime partner, if
Exactly.
this is somebody who you expect to spend the rest of your life with, these are conversations that you're going to need to have, because you know what, prior to going into marriage, like, I don't know if you said it earlier on, you sort of talking about swinging from the chandeliers, gonna bruck this, gonna pop this, gonna, you know, gonna do all these amazing, wonderful things. And then, you know, it might start off like that and then it just fades out. And there might be real reasons why that is. Giving birth to a child, you know, medical issues, stress at work,
Abuse.
those
Yeah, but
things.
I was looking
They
at it.
might be
Yeah,
legitimate reasons. However, your partner, husband or wife, if you are lacking in the intimacy, lacking in sex, they will feel rejected at some point in time.
mm,
And when they feel rejected and nothing is done about it, we spoke about it earlier on, it gives place to the enemy and he will send temptation their way. This is why you're not to, you know, be in a sexless relationship, because
unless you both agree.
absolutely, unless you both agree. But most people are not going to agree to not having sex unless there's real reasons. Do you get what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
And if
yeah.
they do, they're still going to want intimacy.
They're still
You get what I mean? They're
exactly.
still going to want intimacy. They're still going to want to be touched. They're still going to want to be admired. They're still going to want to be affirmed. All of those things should not go out of the window. And I think that
No.
because of the lack of intimacy, that is one of the things that leads to the lack of sex within the relationship.
You said something earlier that I'm going to touch on again, and you said, and I know it to be true because of the men that I talk to. Some of them,
Hmm.
that there's no the initiation is always them. A
Hmm.
man a man will do that, but there's that point in his mind when he clicks and says, you know what? If I don't instigate anything, this woman don't come to me.
Hmm.
You know, and you want to be admired,
Yeah.
but I can guarantee you this: if you don't initiate, or you don't, you see, you have to affirm yourself as an individual that
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with you. You got to know that first of all, because I went through that when I thought there was something wrong with me. You know,
Mm.
now I realized that no, I'm all right. You know, and if 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 she's not giving you that attention,
Mm.
you go out with your husband or your partner somewhere, go to a party, go to a wedding, go shopping together.
Hmm.
Yeah. And you'll see for yourself whether or not your husband or your wife is desirable to somebody else. That's what you'll see. You'll see where the temptation is around. Someone will be the tempter.
Hmm.
You walk in, your eye on this woman or this man make four. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I remember going through feeling that I wasn't enough. So if we were out and her eyes glanced over at some man and he was tall, dark, and handsome, what they say is, or he was a good looking guy, taller than me, more muscular than me, you feel that
kind of way.
belittling in yourself, because you see that she will give someone else the attention that should be yours, or he will give his attention to some other woman when it should be hers, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that, but you're a couple, you've
Mm-hmm.
chosen to be together, so the attention should be on the person that you're with. I remember someone that I was with, and this is the type of person that I am, core me. We go out, there's no one else that I'm interested in. Yeah, especially healthy relationship. So I'm talking about from a healthy standpoint, when that was how I was as well. I would dance and I'd serenade the woman that I'm with. Yeah. And it don't matter how many women are looking like, do you see me? I see you not? Yeah. You can walk like this in front of me, and it's like me just doing that. I don't see you, because I'm serenading the one that I'm with and who I'm, that I have a healthy relationship with.
Mm-hmm.
Men will do that. They have a healthy relationship. We're not talking about the
I think it
doggish
works.
man.
I think it works.
Yeah.
I think it works both ways. But I think that,
Oh God,
yeah,
absolutely.
I think that if you are in
Should.
a healthy relationship where, you know, when I say healthy relationship, both of you are being intimate with each other, you're both
Communicating.
you're both communicating well, your sexual appetite is, you know, it's there. I think that you don't see anyone else. It is only when it could be the lack of intimacy, something is missing from the relationship, and there is a natural desire to want that thing. And
Hmm.
the desire should be that you want it from your spouse, not somebody else. Do you get what I mean?
Unless you have a
And
doggish, you have a doggish mentality, and what I mean by that is that you want more than just that person.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
well, you know,
But
we're not
that
even
comes
talking about
because
that.
you
That's
might have a healthy relationship, you might have what we're saying, but yet you want more.
yeah.
And I personally think that it's some kind of trauma in you as to why you do that.
Hmm.
Yeah, why you
Absolutely.
can have a satisfying gratification, gratifying relationship, but
Hmm.
yet you're still going
Yeah, like you
and
said, it's
sex
doggish
some other woman,
behavior.
or
Absolutely.
or porn. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll have sex here and everything's right. I remember I went through that.
Hmm.
There was issues, yeah, yeah, but from a sexual side, there was no issues. Yeah, swinging
Yeah.
from the chandelier. Yeah,
Hmm.
but after I didn't go to sleep. It's like I want more after all this what we've been doing, and however long it was, and I was still want more. My sexual desire was just so much more. But you're
Mm.
asleep now and you're not waking up to get some more. Yeah. So I used to go and watch porn. And
Mm.
so that was how it was for me, that I'm getting fulfilled over here, but yet I want the pornography, I want the porn as
Mhm.
well. But then watching the porn gave me a desire for other women.
Yeah,
You
it
see
would
what I mean?
do.
So yeah, so as much as that, if we use it as a balance, for me, saying that it was a balance, it wasn't. It was
Hmm.
an imbalance, because then that sexual um high sex drive led me to want to do with somebody else. And then obviously that's what happened in that relationship as well. So I was getting enough here, enough there, but it was never enough.
It will
It was
never
never
be enough.
enough.
It's a
Even that
bottomless.
wasn't enough.
It's a bottomless pit.
it,
I wanted
it
to
is.
share this. I wanted to share this because one of the other reasons somebody in a relationship, you can feel under pressure to have to perform, to have sex
Yeah.
often. So on this particular article, talking about everyone's sex drive is not the same, and I think that that's important, because there's a misconception that you're going to get married, you're going to be sexually compatible, and all is going to be well. And sometimes that's not the case. So in this article,
Mm.
it says, has your spouse ever told you you seem to want sex all the time? Or perhaps you hear, I wish we could be intimate more often. Regardless, if you've been married 3 weeks or 3 decades, comment like these are incredibly common. The technical term for this tension is drive discrepancy. Drive discrepancy is where one spouse desires frequency of sex, does not sorry, let me say that again. Drive discrepancy is where one spouse's desire frequency of sex does not align with the actual frequency. It's where each spouse has different expectations about their sex life. And again, this is what is important. But I can tell you something: when you are dating, you are not going to expose yourself like that. You are not going to be like, do you know what? My sex drive is low. Do you know what I mean? You're just not going to do that. You're not going to do that. So, you know, I say to a number of people that when you meet somebody, you meet their representative. Then when you're married now you actually meet the real person, because that person is still trying to win you over. Do you get what I mean? And people think that, oh, when you get married, there's not going to be those challenges there. Remember, you're not seeing that person if you haven't moved in, because I know people move in with each other. If you're a Christian, most people do not live with each other until after they get married and so forth. So you seeing that person every so often, not every single day. You're not going to see that person every single day. You now being with that person every single day is totally different. You being intimate with them is going to be different, because there's no one that is going to be saying, do you know what? I have a low sex drive. They're not. Do you get what I mean? And so when you get married to them now and you find out that they've got a low sex drive and you've got a high sex drive, there's a problem. There's an instant problem.
Absolutely.
Do you get what I mean? And so these are things that you're going to have to navigate through. Okay, what is enough for you? Like 3-4 times a week. 3-4 times a week. Like, these are things that you're going to have to work through. Because if you're someone with a high sex drive and that person has a low sex drive and you didn't have that conversation, or you perceive that, you know, you'll be going at it like rabbits, or initially you might say, for instance, you might have a low sex drive, but you don't want the person to know. That is going to have an impact on you very quickly. Because someone who's have a high sex drive and someone who doesn't have a high sex drive, initially you're going to do it to please them. And then after a while, you're going to start lagging behind because you're not going to be able to keep up. Do you get what I mean? And that's going to cause contention. That's going to cause friction, because the person with the high sex drive, you was meeting that need initially. And then you're waning now. Why aren't you doing this? You're not having a conversation with them. They're going to feel as though something's up. Are they cheating on me? Am I not attractive? You know, all of these conversations are gonna be going through that person's mind. So I said all of that to say, just be honest. I've never had a high sex drive. You know, that's something that you would have to work through. Do you know what I mean? If that person, if you and that person are not compatible sexually, it will cause contention. It will cause friction, but that's something for you to work through.
I think.
Go on.
I think it's something that, like you said, about working through. But I think that sometimes, because I remember being in this position of being understanding. You know, so there are those men and those women that will understand the issue. And it doesn't change. It doesn't. You don't. I'm going to keep going back to the same thing. Understanding that you don't want penetrative sex is different from intimacy. If it hurts, if it's a medical, whatever else, that shouldn't stop your hands, your lips from doing anything else. And if it
your
is,
affirmation, you
right,
speaking to them.
yeah. um that then where it was
You think
hurting,
it
where it
compensates?
was
You
that
think it compensates the
this,
intimacy?
this is what I'm saying. Yeah, you might not do that, but you can compensate in other ways as well. And if you're not doing any of it,
Mm-hmm.
then you're gonna have the issues that you have, because
It's
then
doomed
there's
for
nothing.
failure, to be quite
Yeah,
honest.
yeah. This is what the site that I was reading from was very well mined, and they say the frequency of marital. They done a survey, frequency of marital sex. According to, I don't know where they got this study from, because that maybe this generation of 18-year-olds. So according to a 2020 study about the frequency of sexual activity in adults 18 to 44. It had to be pre COVID, because I can imagine how many babies came during COVID. Yeah, because there's
It was
nothing
a
else.
lot.
People were then saying, "Boy, you know, my husband, my wife, they never used to be like this." And then for those, it might have been none,
Yeah.
because it's too much. You're here all the time in my face. At least we was getting out and going to work or whatever else. So according
And
to
I
this
don't miss
2020
you.
study, yeah, yeah, a study of 18 to 44, 1.7% of married men and 1.3% of married women. So they are talking about marriages.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, 1.3 of married women reported having no sex during the previous year. 5.2% of married men and 55.5 of married women reported having sex once or twice annually.
No,
But it happens, because I know
I
I
thought
know
you were going
people.
to say a week.
Yeah, I know some people that who
I'm
they've
not
told me
laughing. I'm laughing,
they were
but it was
surprised.
because I
They were
thought that you was going to say a week, not
yeah,
annually.
yeah, yeah, annually. Yeah, 5.2, and 5.5% reported having sex once or twice annually. And I
Wow.
know people like that, Debbie. Yeah,
Wow.
I know people like that. That's
But
anyway.
all right.
35.4% of married men and 29.5% of married women reported having sex 1 to 3 times per month. And some people are comfortable with that as well.
Yeah, I've had sessions with women and they're very comfortable with a couple of times a month.
Yep. This one, I don't know where they got their studies from, because 57.7, I guess, whatever, they must know 57, or they do a survey and those people lie. Oh yeah, 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 get all the time. Yeah, yeah. And in back of their head, it's like,
Hmm.
I ain't had any for the last 9 months, 57.7% of married men and 60.9% of married women reported having sex weekly or more.
Mm,
I know people that will be jealous of that.
yeah.
Jealous that they're not in that 57.7 of men and 60.9% of women. It's
Mm,
it's sad. Here are some ways you can address the lack of sex in your marriage if it's a problem for you or your partner. And it does that. I said them earlier on, communication, build intimacy, spend more time together, whether you're curled up on the couch watching television or taking turns giving each other a massage. Build fundamental intimacy. Um, and here's some of them. Try a new activity together. Do something physical together, such as going on a walk. Schedule a vacation and a getaway.
mm-hmm.
Plan a staycation at home. Go on a scheduled date night.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
Yeah.
And we haven't gone and researched all of this. We've found it, but you said it earlier on. Schedule it in.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
You have to. I think that having the conversation is gonna open up the door for you to say what the challenges are and how you're going to basically overcome that. If it's a lifetime partner, if you really if you love that person, you really desire to have them in your life for the rest of your life, then have the conversations. Forget about embarrassment, forget about what it's going to seem like. Have the conversation. You don't know you don't know what's going to happen if you don't have the conversation. It's better that you do that than to be wondering, ifing and butting, and your partner feeling as though you don't desire them, that you're rejecting them when there might be a legitimate reason. Let me just read what Michael says. He says, let me bring it up. Hold on. Did you touch that? Okay.
No.
I think men have a higher sex drive because of testosterone. Sometimes sex may be medicinal for men. And normally, typically, yeah, they say that men have a higher sex drive than women, but there are some freaky women out there.
No, I know there is. I
Who have
know as well. I
a
was gonna,
really, really high sex drive. Do you know what I mean? Want it at least three, 4 times a week. Do you get what I mean?
and if you're not
I think,
meeting that, if you're not
yeah,
meeting the quota,
I think I think that one of the things that does happen with women, and it happened with me, is having your children. It's not because you don't have a high sex drive. It's because you're having to, like with me, breastfeed the kids, with the kids up and down all day. By the time it's nighttime, you're just whacked. So what I purposely used to do was, when the kids were going to bed, I used to go and sleep with them for an hour or so and then wake up. And at that time, the children's dad used to work until late. And so I would have already slept and then woke up. But I had to be very strategic. And this is what I'm saying. It's not something that you can't plan. If you find that there are challenges there and you're not meeting your spouse's needs, think about what you can do differently. Go to sleep, wake up. Do you get what I mean?
or during the daytime. See, people always,
I
a
know
lot of people only
people
associate
assume.
sex to nighttime. Yeah,
Absolutely,
it's not.
absolutely,
It's not a nighttime thing. It's an
absolutely.
anytime thing. You
Anytime
know,
thing.
it
Absolutely.
really
But
is.
I'm talking like from a perspective of that particular
Yeah,
perspective was
yeah. You
having
found.
a family, um, and trying to make time to do that without just constantly just falling off to sleep. Because the reality is that you are going to be tired. If you're a mum
Absolutely.
and you've got young children, you are going to be tired, but you have to be strategic in making sure that you meet your spouse's needs. And I think that I, I I just feel like there's a misconception that all men have a high sex drive. I just think that that is just not 100% true. I think that there are women that are out there that have higher sex drives than their partner and like want sex frequently. That's just my take on it. I'm in a network of women, and to be quite honest, I'll be honest with you, there are more women whose sex drive is lower, in the groups that I've been in, then yeah, their sex drive is lower. And the conversations that we will have is about how to increase the sex drive, how to make yourself, want to be intimate, sexually intimate more. And I think that I don't think that as women we should just lean into, it's for the man to do this, it's for the woman, it's I think that the reason why as well is uh typically men are the hunters, isn't it? And I know from in my circle, some of the women like, "Oh, I don't want to seem like if I'm just constantly just running a man down, like their partner, for sex. And I think that you might do that and find that it's perfectly fine with it. Do you know what I mean? But it's a thought process that women have, like, oh, they should be hunting me rather than me hunting them. I don't think it's because they're not desiring it. It's more, if I was to initiate it, I might be rejected because that's not the way that it should go. But I think that either one can initiate it, and
Absolutely.
I don't think that women should feel like some kind of way if they are wanting to have sex frequently. I don't think they should feel any way about it. That's my thoughts. That's my opinions. I don't think
I think that sometimes, and looking at different things that I've looked at and experienced, sometimes, especially if you have a housewife, she might feel, and he's at work, she might only feel horny during the day, during the afternoon.
Yeah.
And she doing a DIY. And when he comes, she ain't got no time for any of that. You know? So it's about holding that desire until he comes
home.
You know, excuse the pun again, until he comes home. And then you come, you know, all of what you feel. I remember I spoke to somebody one time and they was telling me that this person had a lack of now and then. And so I suggested something to her. And I've always suggested this to women who have spoken to me over the year. I said, why didn't you dress up? When he comes through the door, yeah, and he's there, you got a trench coat on or whatever else you got on, and you tell him, put your bag down. Take off your clothes. For a man, he's going to be like, what? Hang on, I'm confused. No, what's going on? Shh. You know, stop talking. That can be it can kick off to a whole, and it did. It kicked off to a whole different level when those women have come back and
but you know what? I remember having a very similar conversation with one of my friends, and she was saying that what you're saying, that one of her friends said to do exactly the same. And she went the whole 9 yards, yeah. And I did feel it for her because the way how she felt rejected,
wow,
wasn't nice. I'm laughing, but it wasn't nice because in your mind you're thinking, yeah, this is what's going to happen. That and it was because her friend did it and it worked. But the thing is, I said to her, you should know your partner enough to know that when he comes in, he has a routine. This is what his routine is when he comes in. So, for instance, and this is why we had the conversation, was because she was genuinely hurt, and her thing was, I ain't doing that again. And I said, don't allow pride to kick in and cause you not to do that again. Think about when it's a good time. It doesn't work for everybody. So he came in, she was in the hills and all of that, and she was like, babe, come here, blah, blah, blah. And he was just like, I'm going upstairs, I'm going to jump in the shower. And she was like, babe, she was trying to, and he was just like, no, I need to go upstairs and jump in the shower. I'm sweaty and all the rest of it. And she felt away, but that was his routine every day. And she's, because when she told me, she was just like, oh, I was so upset because I did all of this and I did all of that. And he just was just like, he just wasn't having it. And she was just like, and I was saying it really sensual, baby, come here a minute. I got something to show. And he was just like, I'll be down in a minute. I'm just going to jump in the shower. And she was like, baby, just come and have a look. And I said, have you, because she said that when he comes in, he would just go upstairs. And I said to her, have you tried to give him his dinner as he's just come in? And she's like, yeah, that was ages ago. But I know that his routine is come in, shower off, and then come downstairs, chill for a bit, and then she will give him the dinner. So I said, what made you think that something was going to change on that particular night? And she was just like, I don't know, because I had the conversation with my friend and I was just getting hyped. And I thought, and I was just like, you've got to know patterns of behavior to stop you from
Because
feeling.
she could have used.
Because the thing is, I said to her, if you was kind of enticing him from in the day, then that might have worked. I got something for you, baby, when you come in. Do you get what I mean? If you was kind of enticing and insinuating or something, obviously she wanted it to be a whole surprise. Well, it was a surprise, and it was a surprise for her. Do you get what I mean? But at the same time, know your partner. It can work for somebody else, but not work for you. So I would, in situations like that, it's great. You can take advice, you can take tips and everything.
But
know
you
your
got to know.
Know their routine, know when is a good time and when isn't going to be a good time.
So when you went,
it's good if you're going to be spontaneous, yeah. But I think that it's good. But then if it doesn't work, don't be offended and don't allow pride to kick in. You know, because I said to her, so what did you do? She was just like, I just took off all of the stuff when he was in the shower. I just took off all the stuff.
See, and
on your
that to me,
she goes, she put on one. She said she just put on a stretch out t-shirt because she was vexed. You get what I mean? So
see,
I
think that she knew, knowing
go on,
knowing his routine, that he has a shower. I don't know what kind of shower, if they got a bath shower or they got an open shower, whatever else.
I said you should have gone in there and told him I'm going to shower you
should have done it. Yeah.
I said, why didn't you just go up there and say, can I come and wash your back? You know, but she was
I cream you. I'm gonna let me cream you after when you come out.
Absolutely.
And, you know, but she ain't showed him anything yet, and then she's dressed off. You know, you got to create the scenario knowing the routine at the same time.
Absolutely.
You know? Fortunately, the one that the ones that I said to try that, it's because they weren't normally the one who would initiate all the time, or if they initiate, they told me about him. Yeah. So when they told me about them, those guys, I was able to, as a man, I said, this will work. Yeah. Because you're telling me, I asked questions, they told me that. I said, just do that.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if they've done it all the time or they mixed it up or whatever else. It worked on that day in particular, you know. But
what she should have did was put on she should have put on Destiny's Child song, I Want to Cater to You. Do you know what I mean? She should have tried something different. I mean, we had that conversation and she did calm down and stuff like that. And she didn't allow pride to really, I mean, on the day she did allow pride to kick in. But I think afterwards she did try several different things. She did take the advice and she did try several different things and it did work. But I think that as well, that you build on the momentum, that you don't just do the one-off. Do you get what I mean? You build on the momentum. You know, I remember someone saying to me that they went away on a holiday and what they did was pack underwear for every single day. So it was away for a week, something different every single night. And by like the third night, the husband was just like, you don't need to dress up every single night. Do you get what I mean? But in her mind, she just thought this was a really sexual, fun thing to do. And he was just like, you don't need to do that every night. And again, rejection kicked in, felt like I feel a bit stupid now. And I think that it's just being sensitive to what that person is trying to do. I mean, it's not nothing bad. It's not nothing bad.
If you can see that this is what the woman's doing, you should be like, girl, I ain't seen that before. And you got more. I can't wait till tomorrow night then. Yeah. Or if you got another one tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you got one while we're here? Have you got one every night? You know, that's how it should be.
Yeah,
because
it should be.
You're thinking she's making that effort. And likewise, I say to men, and I said it earlier on, and I'll say it again for the latecomers as well. Trevor, we'll bring your comment up in a minute. Is we as men, you don't have to have these popping biceps like me, and you don't have to be chiseled,
Like you.
yeah, to buy something and put on dress for her.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the novelty things. I said that before. The novelty things, yeah, it'd be fun. You can do it once or
It is
twice.
funny. It
Yeah,
is funny.
you can do it. You can
I
do
do
it
like
once
the
or
novelty
twice.
things.
You
I
know,
do find that funny.
unless it's something really outrageous, and you think to yourself, you know what? And you got to know your partner again. That she's her human.
Absolutely.
That you put that on. But women are visual. Women are visual as well. I remember buying one, right?
Sorry, Trevor just made me laugh in the
I'd see him. I remember buying one in particular, and I thought, "What's this?" Yeah, I did put it on and then showed my wife, and I said, "I can't wear this." Yeah, I don't like. I'm not a thong man. I'm not a thong. No. There's no thong song here. I don't like anything like. But I tried. Yeah, and I showed her, and we laughed about it. And anytime I took it, it's still in wherever it is. Yeah, but it's not my thing. You know what I mean? But it was humor, and that's what I'm saying. And it doesn't matter. One of the things on here, what he was saying is that people feel a bit body conscious. Yeah, so they think, oh, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't put that on. Or I put on more weight. You never. Well, I guess there are people out there that say I've lost so much weight they won't be interested. I guess there's some.
Yeah, it works both ways. Yeah,
but it is about that talking by saying, I feel a bit body conscious now. I've lost a lot of weight. I've put on a whole heap of weight. I mean, when I put on weight, I got a motivation because my mother-in-law was talking about my belly. Yeah. And though Catherine wasn't taking the mickey out of me, it was the fun at the time of her mum, and she laughed. I said, all right, watch. Yeah. And I lost all the weight. It was a motivation for me because I became body conscious. I really did, and I thought it wasn't the only time in my life. There was a time where I was really big, and I just thought, what am I doing? How did I get to here? But it was all that late eating at work at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the morning, and 1 o'clock in the morning, finishing at 6 or 4, and I'm eating big time food, big food at that time, and then go home and sleep. So I had to change my routine. I know a guy right now, his wife says to him that he's too big. He'll know who it is if he watches this. And I've been encouraging him. If your wife is saying, you didn't look like that before, and you look like this now, then don't say anything. Don't be offended. She's just telling you what she liked about you.
Yeah.
She still likes you, but she wants that part of you.
Yeah, but there's also a nice way how to have those kind of conversations as well. You get what I mean?
I don't know how it's been put across.
Yeah,
but
I wanted to share some of what
is wrong.
Wanted to share some of what's being said in the chat. So I'm not going to put it on the screen straight away, but go on then. Let me just put it on there. So going back to what I was saying in regards to the friend and her partner coming in and her, not taking heed to his routine. Michael said she's not understanding his routine. Maybe he wanted
just to smell nice.
Yeah. She should have been waiting for him in the bedroom after the shower. Absolutely, that's what we were saying. She should have respected his routine and understood. I think that she did, but I think that she just was taken back by him not being as excited as what she was. Yeah. Trevor says, build up the excitement. I'm not too sure what you're saying this to, Michael. I haven't seen that before. This what made me laugh out loud. Trevor said, "I'm round like a barrel," and he said, "Oh, Michael was just asking a question," and Trevor said, "Get out the Tarzan loin cloth," and and he also said, "Dance
Dance.
to I like to move it, move it." So, you know, I think that there's so much that you can actually do to get your partner aroused, get your partner on board. But I think that the fundamental things is, like we've been saying, is the communication, is expressing your desires, your thoughts, your feelings, the lack of libido. It's important for you to have those conversations. Otherwise, the person's going to feel rejected and can possibly start looking elsewhere. In the
Mm.
beginning, we started with First Corinthians 7
Three,
and
three,
3, starting
three to
from
five.
3. And the reason why we did that was to really lay a foundation of speaking about the husband and the wife's body is not their own, it belongs to each other. And because of that, you shouldn't be withholding sex from each other unless biblically it is from a perspective of you're fasting and you're praying, and for that reason only, if that person consents to it. So don't get it twisted. We're not saying, oh, when you're fasting and praying you can withhold sex, because then you can just be saying, I'm fasting and praying every single day of the week. Do you know what I mean? But that's if it's consensual. If they say, you know what, you're fasting and you're praying, I understand you're going to be doing that for the next 3 days, let us just hold off. If they're not a lot on board with it, then you just don't do that. You just don't withhold sex from them, because it goes on to say the enemy, Satan, the devil, whatever way you want to call him, can bring temptation your way. So
Because of your inconsistency.
because of the lack of sex, so
Mm.
or intimacy. I think that the general consensus is, if there is a lack of sex within a relationship but there's intimacy, that will last for quite some time, but it's not going to last forever. It isn't. Even if I mean, unless there are medical problems and your spouse is really understanding, the lack of sexual intimacy, penetrative sex, I think that does cause challenges within the relationship after a while, even if there is hugging and kissing and touching, because that person is going to be aroused, they're going to be horny through that intimacy, that kind of intimacy, and not getting the goods. So I think that, it's about having those conversations. It's, be honest with your partner. We were speaking about hygiene, making sure that, you follow a good routine when it comes to hygiene. These are things that put men and women off. But yeah, we've had quite an extensive conversation about, sexless marriages. And I think that it's good when you can have those conversations and just be totally honest with your partner. And yeah, I just hope that this has helped some of you out here. Some of you have been quiet, absolutely quiet on Instagram, absolutely quiet. People were chiming in. I don't even know how many people's logged on there, quite a few. But yeah, absolutely quiet over there.
I just want to
Um,
say, I just want to say this as to end it as well, is that
mhm.
one of according to 2015 study published in Social Psychology, Psychological and Personality Science, having, and this is, I think it's very true, having more sex indicates greater well-being for people in relationships.
Oh yeah, we haven't
But
even touched
only
on
up
mental
to,
health.
even if it's once a week.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
mental health goes through the roof. It's brilliant.
yeah,
The mood
it
is
really is,
different.
because it does. Whether, and again, something that you Arita,
It's
you
good.
said earlier on, um, it's not just the men to initiate. Yeah,
Mm,
get over those hurdles that have stopped you from initiating it. If he's rejected you, talk to him and tell him how you felt. If
Mm-hmm.
she's rejected you, tell her how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
But come together and build a healthy, intimate sexual relationship, whether once. And that reason why I said intimate and sexual is that you may not, for any medical reasons, impotency, taking some kind of medication stops you, premenopausal, whatever it is, you've discussed it with who you're with.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do other things that you don't know. That well-being, that feeling could change everything in your body. Yeah,
Absolutely.
because your hormones are going off, your testosterone level, the testosterone level, everything starts to kick off,
Mm-hmm.
and you just don't know on whether or not it will heal whatever it is. If it's never healed, there's still wonderful things to do if you
Mm-hmm.
cannot have penetrative sex. But
And it's the
don't
best feeling
fall
in the
into the
world when
yeah,
you get it
don't
right and both of you are on the same page. It's the best
yeah.
feeling in the world.
I was going to go and say that the study shows that um, people divorce. There are those that are understanding, but you're going to find infidelity. You're going to find divorce. You're going to find bitterness. You're going to find hostility. You're going to find all this division that starts to happen because
Mm-hmm.
of it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
love who you're with. You
Mm-hmm.
both made a choice. Yes, you're going to have ups and downs and bumps and lumps and bruises and everything else. There's nothing greater than working through that and
Mm-hmm.
coming to a place of fruitfulness that you have the same word, fruitful relationship
Yeah.
that's built over time with the lumps and bumps as well. But
Mm-hmm.
remember, and I speak to my Christian brothers and sisters, it's not God's way. Yeah, it's not God's way. I
Mm-hmm.
used an analogy earlier on with you, Debbie, when I was saying about some people say, well, it's not sin. It's not a sin for me to not do that. And what I said to Debbie was that um, when God said, don't eat off the tree, yeah, he didn't say it's a sin. He just gave you an instruction. Well, here God is giving in his word, inspired of God, an instruction. Don't withhold sex from one another. Your body is not yours, but the man's, and your body is not of yours, but the woman's. But with consent, you both don't do it for prayer and fasting, lest the devil tempt you. Yeah. And then the temptation brings about sin. So that's a whole different subject. So just to encourage my brothers and sisters as well, and you that don't know God at the moment, um, work work with one another and come and have a fruitful relationship. That's my final word.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much. And throughout this podcast, we haven't reached out to you guys to subscribe, hit the notification button. I think that we just got really tucked in. Normally, like throughout the podcast, we're saying,
Yeah.
subscribe, hit the notification button so you know when we are actually coming on. It's normally every Tuesday at 8:30, the same time, for an hour or so, depending on the topic. We might just go over as we have today. But yeah, share with your friends and your colleagues and your neighbors. We're trying to build the platform so that more and more people can actually watch the podcast. And please, if you like it, just give us a thumbs up, because that also helps to make the algorithms like send it out to more people. So yeah, with that being said, we really appreciate you guys, and thanks again for joining us at gym time with myself and my brother Maurice. So what are you putting up there? Pick up
I'm
a
just
right
just a just a
for your
yeah,
something else,
yeah. It's Rango Hola Fresh. Pick up a rag, pick up a soap, Rango Hola. It's a tune, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
That
It's
Trevor
because I was
said,
talking
pick
about
up
the
a rag,
health,
pick up a
the
soap, Rango
hygiene.
Hola Fresh. Yeah, yeah. Um, and Trevor says that the lack of sex in marriage kills the
Unity.
unity of the oneness between each other.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And Michael agrees with that. Um, we have there has to be a daily
Recommitment.
recommitment to each other. Oh, very true. You know, um, Michael says, um, and naked and the naked form is beautiful, pure, so it's horrid to be denied that.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And then yesterday's commitment has gone. Today's a new day, and I like that, Trevor. So
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
you who that's what happened last week, happened yesterday. Tomorrow or tonight, yeah, tonight's the night. Yeah,
Tonight is the night.
and tomorrow. Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Anyway, so thank you everybody for tuning in. You silent listeners as well. I hope it's been fun for you as well and educational. And if you are going through this in your marriage relationship, um, try
I
these
hope it
different
gets
things as
better.
well, like we said,
Yeah,
and we do hope it gets better as well. Okay.
absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
take care,
Thank
guys.
you, Trevor, Michael,
Week.
Sonia, and whoever else, because there's 7 of you there, but not everybody's talking. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
tuning in.
guys.
And
Thanks for tuning in.
uh,
And yeah, to all of
remember,
you
this
who are
is
in the
your
chat,
show. This is your show. And if you have any suggestions on what you want to talk about, Michael, we're going to come back to you about the boring people. Remember, please like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, send us a message if you know us, or find us on Instagram or YouTube. Leave a message and we'll follow up on the show that you want to see because it's for you. All right. Thank you so much. Thanks, Deb.
take care. Over and out. Bye bye.
Bye bye.